What's up, Joe 200? How are you? It's Sunday, October 7th, 2023. And so we're going to go now launch into the social science side of things. As we went through um, the discussion on numbers and the demographics, which was okay, this is what we're setting ourselves up for in terms of the percentage of older adults worldwide, older adults in our community in the US. And we looked at things like caregiving ratios, and in your guys' CT1, um, that was the second set of graphs where you were just looking at really the dependence, okay, and that sets the stage for the next level. So you have this financial dependency, and that's what we were talking about in those sets of graphs. And now we're going to talk about the personal care end of dependency, and this is caregiving. All right, so this is a short video, right? But it's really, really important because it's something that, we all have to go through. We all do. And it's something that I live on a daily basis. So, alrighty. Um, okay, let's check this out here. All right, so we are entering. See, we've gone through all the dynamics, okay? And why it's such an economic issue globally and within our country in terms of the transitions that we're seeing in the distribution of age groups, and um, and we talked about the biological slash disease aspects of the financial burden that exists with aging, and then now we're going to go into the social and emotional and economic aspects of this, and that's caregiving. All right, so let's go launch right into this right here. Okay, week 8. Um, this is a really short video, 2.5 minutes. You have to watch it. It's really incredibly done. You will see yourself in this video. Okay, it's kind of a tearjerker in that you just see. Um, it is our responsibility as human beings to care for those that we love, and we remember them in their best and have to care for them in their worst. And so it shows you the dynamics of being a caregiver. Cuts across all socioeconomic levels. The biggest burden, of course, is in the lower socioeconomic groups because they don't have the financing to hire somebody to help them out. And and also because a lot of the disease burden hits the lower socioeconomic groups the hardest. And it also shows the dynamics of caregiving when you have special needs children in this video as well. So yeah, so this is it's ongoing in everybody's lives. I really especially like this painting that was done, and it's the cliche of the circle of life, but you look at the here and now and the before. Okay, and the here and now is you caring for your aging mother. Okay, and here it is, your mother caring for you when you were growing up. And so this is what we do in our culture. Um, and um, and it's becoming more and more difficult because a lot of people are doing, what we did in our family, and that is we delayed having children to a much later period in life, and because we were poor. It's irrespective if you just want to make it in life professionally, you have to get your career dialed in. And so, and then we had our kids, and my first child I had when I was 39, and my second child I had when I was 45. All right, so I'm gonna be 68, and my oldest is 27, and my youngest is 22. Okay, so they are gonna be saddled with some of the issues that come with me getting older. It's just kind of the rite of passage. Alrighty, so um, this particular PDF file was put out in 2015. This is a more updated report right here by AARP done in 2020. It's just it's just numbers. So this is just looking at raw numbers, demographics. Um, it comes down to this right here, okay? We've talked about this over and over and over in class, okay? And that we had, an increase in childbirth during my generation, okay? Science, hygiene pushed forward so that many of us lived a lot longer, okay? And so our life expectancy increased. And but many people like myself, we have two children. A lot of people elected to have no children. Many people had one children. So the the burden of helping that person out when they get older is being put on the shoulders of fewer and fewer caregivers, fewer and fewer people. Okay, caregiving takes on many different looks. Okay, obviously we have this um, family slash filial piety that we all believe in, caring for our older parents and our older grandparents. Okay, but you also have community-based caregiving, and we do it here in our neighborhood, where we try and help out older members of our neighborhood where their kids have moved out because we're very geographically mobile nowadays. And so we had these the sweetest neighbors next door to us, that we used to take their cans out. We would help them do anything around the house. We would take them food. The hardest thing that happened was they had a significant decline in health, and then the pandemic hit, and we were all just like, what do we do, and we all were basically, holding up in our homes, not having any social mixing, so a lot of social isolation. And they actually had to hire somebody to come to their house to help them during their final 2 months. And it cost them $400 a day, and that's completely out of pocket, not paid by anything. There was no insurance that covers that, so it was pretty tragic. So we see here, okay, this was, for my mom, okay. We're looking at the time frame right here, so in the 2000s, 2010, okay. So for my mom, when she was getting older, there was a lot of us that were potential caregivers, okay, in the community, in her church, okay, and she had three sons that we all helped out together, okay. Now this is the boomer generation getting older as time marches on right here, and we see by 2030 that's right around the corner, okay. We see that we went from almost 7 potential caregivers, both family and community, to help out that one person, that now we're getting down into the range of about 3, okay? And so that's a big deal. It's a big deal because it takes time and effort to care for somebody, okay? And it has consequences. There is a burden associated with this, and it just means that you don't have personal time to do the things you like to do, that might be frivolous, okay? You also are pulled away from your profession, from your workplace, okay? And that's going to impede your progress as a professional, and it pulls you away from your friends and things like that. Okay, so it's this is a big deal, so you have to think about this, guys. Alrighty, so you can go right in here. Okay, the actual quiz from our class. We'll scroll down here. I'm going to open this baby up right now. Okay, and I'm just going to use the hand, but if we go back to the quiz in the class, the percentages were taken from this PDF file. Okay, so the new information from this 2020 report put out by ARP is not on here in your quiz, but still you should familiarize yourself with it because it gives you some new raw numbers. And again, this is your quiz right down there. Okay, all right, just to give you that heads up. All righty, cool. Let's get out of here so I can get my PDF file back here. Okay, cool. All right, so so what do we have going on here? So what what is the issue with caregiving? Okay, so sorry, I'm having a moment here. Okay, so the big issue is long-term services. Okay, but even short-term services, it takes time. I've been my wife's caregiver. I go down to her infusion centers. I try and help out around even stuff like around the house where she used to do more cooking. I do more cooking, and then she's continually my caregiver as well. And just this morning, even though I've gotten to the point with my rehab and my shoulder surgery that I'm doing really well, okay? So I don't need her to be helping me in the shower and stuff like that, because that happens when you have a significant surgery. I'm sure you guys have been there, a few of you. Um, but today she was going into my Blue Cross insurance plan and looking at the coverage for my physical therapy, and now we see a number of the physical therapy visits that I had done over the last month are stacked up and they're under review because the pre-approval process wasn't done right. All right, so that's caregiving. It took her time, okay? And this way we won't get bitten behind financially by unexpected costs, okay? I told the physical therapy program I was working with about this probably 6 or 7 times. They said they had it handled. Apparently they didn't, okay? But now I have my attorney on it, so we're good. All right, so caregiving has many faces, what I'm talking about, okay? So this just talks about this support ratio, and it's going down. Like I said, from my mom's generation, there were 7 families / community members that would help her, and now we're getting down to the ratio about 3 to 1. Okay, and the big deal right here is long-term services and support. Okay, and that takes on as we go through this paper, takes on many different faces. Okay. And this is again just going over the raw numbers, so you can see in those graphs for pretty much. Okay, we see that 60% of home health aides are about 45 years of age. So this is the sweet spot for the kind of caregiving that's going to be ongoing. Okay, and if we look at the kinds of help that are being provided by the caregiver, you maybe for your family member or for somebody that you hire like a home health aide, there's going to be what are called activities of daily living, ADLs, and this is a very common term of art acronym that is used in the industry, and such as bathing, showering, okay, dressing, using a toilet, okay, um, um, dealing with cell phones, okay, preparing meals, paying bills, on and on and on. Okay, all these things have to get done. All right, and then this is all the kind of instrumental support, and that's the term of art that is used. Okay, and then there's the socio-emotional support, and that is just making somebody feel good about that moment in their time because they're spending time with you, and then this reduces their likelihood of slipping into a period, say, of clinical depression that does not bode well for health. And so both ends of the caregiving are super important. Okay. All right. So again, this is an economic situation right here, as they're talked about right here, and when we look at this, is just the numbers showing the changes in the caregiver ratio. Again, look at me. Okay, I'm going to get out of here, and what it comes down to is basically what we've seen right here. Okay. And again, we've seen this transition, not enough people to help you out anymore. And it's because of more and more people getting into the oldest old group, more and more people over the age of 80. Okay, so how do we stack up then as a country? If we look at our kind of socio/economic models, okay? And so one way of looking at a country and how much of their economics, how much of their money they allocate for different parts of living is to look at what percentage of the bank account that is that government, and this is called the gross domestic product. Okay, this is a combination of both government, okay, and private sector money. Okay, and we look at our total manufacturing output, et cetera, how much money we have, and then we look at your bank account, the checks you have to write, and this is how much costs we have. And a big part of costs, of course, is the long-term care expenditures. Okay, this can be for people over that are in the older age group, But again, it can vary quite a bit across the board. Maybe a number of our football players are on this in this class, okay? And you get an orthopedic injury and you need help, and that comes into the equation, okay? You are now a negative draw financially in terms of your family, in terms of community, in terms of our overall government GDP, okay? How do we stack up? We can look at two different components here, okay? So long-term care, this is for the health part, okay? So how much help is provided in terms of medicines and surgeries and doctor visits, et cetera, okay? And then we have long-term care, the social support, all right? So this would be, you know, the direct home health aid, like I was talking about. It could be part of a social worker's case studies and their cases that they manage, and so we're looking at this in terms of our country, how well we stack up in terms of social, which is the yellow, and the kind of orange, which is the actual health provisions. We're looking at government support. All right, so this would be financially driven or supported by Medicare, Medicaid, okay, all right, so those are the two base programs. Medicare is for the people over the age of 65, and Medicaid is for people that live in poverty or have some other significant social issue that Medicaid is going to cover their direct health costs, okay? And it also looks at insurance. Okay, so this is, so we're looking at my insurance and how well it costs as well. Okay, so how do we stack up then in terms as the amount of money that's going out to pay for my care, whether it's from Medicare or from my health insurance? Like you guys have student health, so that applies here. Okay, as a country, okay, compared to how much money we have in that country, and we see that we are at the absolute bottom end of this, okay? So it shows you that the burden is on you, all right? The government is not going to be providing enough help. Insurance doesn't provide enough help, okay? All right, so this is the average of all of these countries that were of this organization of economic development right here. Okay, there are 17 countries that were looked at this. Okay, we see a lot of the Nordic countries. You see, boom, 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 boom. They have incredible social support. All right, so they're basically somewhere around 7 times what we do, 8 times what we do. All right, so we don't stack up very well in that way. How do we stack up at another aspect of caregiving? Okay, so this is looking at health-based care support. How about just child care? Okay, where you're trying to go to work and you need somebody to watch your children while you go to work, because not all of us can be stay-at-home parents. Okay, all right, so how does this stack up? We are actually at the bottom of the bottom right here, compared to all these other countries right here. So that's what I kind of typed out right here. You can see that up here, okay, we're at the lowest end for long-term care health. That's the orangish bar right here, and we don't even register for long-term care social. All right, so you see this is long-term care social support, the yellow, and it doesn't even show an existence right here. Okay, we see that we're also at the bottom of the barrel in terms of child care. So that's really sucko. Okay, here's the reality of caregiving. Okay, what is our expectation? Okay, most older Americans, okay, they're going to receive care in their homes. All right, we have senior communities. Okay, these can be over 55 communities. And assisted living facilities, and then we have skilled nursing care right here. Okay, these are very costly, very costly. And so most people are going to go for this end, okay? It's very costly to hire somebody to do that as well, okay? Sometimes there'll be almost like a daycare where you can drop your older family member off at a friend's house, okay? Alrighty. Since this is the desired option because of money, then where where does the burden go? Well, the burden is on the shoulders of family members, or if you're lucky, some community members, okay? And so you're going to go here, if we look at the caregiving being delivered by caregivers, we see that most of it, 33%, is at that person's home. So I used to go next door to the guy's house next door, okay? Um, or grandma or grandpa is going to live with you. And we see this right here. This is 44% where we have this kind of communal living, okay? And we have multi-gen houses, and this is, the easiest, most financially based, financially sound approach, but it comes with, some laundry. Obviously you have to set up boundaries, and people get on your nerves and all this kind of stuff. So anyways, and we see again, as a caregiver, you are still involved, even if you have somebody in a nursing home. You're behind the scenes. You have to be a squeaky wheel, and you have to navigate the financial part. So just because you put somebody in a nursing home or they're in an assisted living facility doesn't mean you're not going to have to work. Okay. Alrighty. So here's some of the costs right here. All right. So we can see right here the most costly, living in a nursing home. Okay. So this will be, in today's world, right around $8,000 a month. Okay. The majority of times, this is going to be 100% out of pocket, unless you have bought into a long-term care insurance policy. Okay. Um, those are very costly, very risky. Most often, the reason the insurance companies are in the business of offering those is, for the most part, people never get back what they put into it. Okay. When it comes to having a long-term care insurance, paying for home health services, what everybody wants, good luck. Okay. They fight it tooth and nail. It's different when you're in a nursing home, because the business model is set up that the long-term care insurance will pay for that. Okay. All right, so that's nursing home. How about assisted living facility? Okay, this is where you don't need care. Okay, but this is just make sure that you don't have to worry about bills. Your meals are dialed in. Okay, you have little dance clubs, so there's the social part, and that's going to cost you, $4 or $5 grand a month. All right, so there you go. Okay, out of pocket, out of pocket. Okay, and then this is, partial, I say very partial home health aid that will cost you $2,000 a month. You step it up, like I said, the person next door, it was $400 a day out of pocket, So, and you can do the math there. Okay, this was, end of life care for these guys, so it was palliative type care. Okay, that then turned into hospice, and it was, if it would have been in there for a year, it would have been, it would have been $130,000 in cost. But anyways, it was very, very costly. Okay. This is how things stack up if you're on Medicare, if your parents or grandparents on Medicare. Okay. So if you have to go into a skilled nursing facility, okay, the policy is written in stone that in order for Medicare to pay for your skilled nursing facility stay, you have to have completed a 3-day inpatient stay in a hospital. Okay, and if you meet that criteria and then you now go across the street to a skilled nursing facility, Medicare will pay for the first 20 days. Okay, all right. So there's no cost to you. After 20 days, then you have a copay that you have to pay $185 per day. Okay, all right. And after that, it's completely out of pocket. All right. So yeah, it's this is kind of hard to hear. Definitely. Okay. All right. And Medicare does pay for certain home health services, medical services. The providers will fight you tooth and nail. So again, this is another part of your caregiving, is getting these home health people to do what Medicare says they're supposed to do. Okay, because they're being paid by Medicare, so they push back. They provide at the least amount of care possible, because their bottom line financial model means there. So we had less labor costs. People didn't go visit that person as often. We still got all that Medicare money, so it's a win. So it's a really, really tough situation, okay? Um, so they provide physical therapy, occupational therapy is learning how to use your phone or something like that again, learning how to feed yourself again. Um, the things that they don't cover, they don't cover, Medicare does not cover 24-hour daycare at home. They don't cover your meals, okay? They're not going to do your cleaning or laundry, all these instrumental forms of care, okay? Not going to help you with the restroom, on and on. You're going to have to hire somebody else to do that, all right? All right, so pretty tough stuff, guys, pretty tough stuff, all right? So I want you guys now in your discussion to think about this. Where do you stand? You know, have your parents, are they already dealing with this in terms of your grandparents? Are you staring down the barrel of being a caregiver for your parents and grandparents? You know, have you thought about this? Have you thought about the financial model? Okay, and also the psychological burden that is on you. It's a thankless job. Okay, and it keeps you from going out there and going to fun places and Disneyland and hanging out with your friends at restaurants because you got to take care of that person. Okay. All righty. So this is a cool article right here that looks at kind of the cultural diversity that exists in our community in caregiving. Very short articles. Boom, boom, boom. There it is right there. Okay. So it compares rural versus urban. Okay. And the issues that we see there. We see the LB, and when this article was written, the LGBT community. Okay. This article was written a while ago. Okay. We'll see right here. I think it was 2010-ish, okay? But anyways, yeah, so it's a cool article. Look at the ethnic diversities, the cultural diversities that we have all across the country and how that impacts caregiving. This is a shorter than 2-minute video that does the same thing,
مرحبا أعزائي الشمري، شرف لي
hour,
بكم ساعة
minute and
معك.
42 seconds that talks about the U.S. versus South American community caregiving. And then this is a longer video that talks about social work. And a lot of you are considering being a social worker. The hands-on and it's a really incredible video worth watching. A day in, day out activity of a social worker. First of all, not an enormous salary, okay? You can form a company that has lots of social workers, lots of cases, okay? And that's a different story, okay? But when you are starting out, you don't make a lot of money, okay? You don't really do hands-on work with people in terms of like bathing or cooking, okay? But you'll work with your client. You are a case manager where you're going to set them up with all the right members of the community to have your client have the best possible quality of life, okay? You have lots of training. You have to be a licensed social worker to do this, okay? Inherent is that you want to help others because that's what you're going to be doing all day long, helping them to manage these really complicated issues that they're encountering, okay? Awesome. Where do you work as a social worker? Lots of different areas, okay? This one's a big one right here, okay? And this one right here, private practice and family aging services, okay? Family services agency, sorry. All hospitals, all big and small, have a team of social workers that are case managers that will get you going in terms of lining you up with a nursing facility, maybe a recommended assisted living facility. Here's all the whole home health aid agencies in your community, on and on and on and on, okay? So you can have a private practice, okay? Some people work in prisons, correctional institutions, child protection services. I actually know quite a few people that have gone that route. Tough one. And every school has social workers associated with them as well. Alrighty, so this is your prompt right here, guys. Think about it. Always be serious with this. We look forward to it, and we'll see you guys next week.